I believe we were, our show was probably one of the first few, quote unquote flip shows that were out there. And I know about 5 or 6 years later, there were close to 200 flip shows that had been on and off the air. And so I like to think that we're kind of a pioneer in sharing our experiences out there with the public, and how this business works and what goes on and everything.
Welcome to the show that's focused on helping you to find your freedom through real estate investing, wholesaling, fix and flips, and cash flow properties. Find your freedom today. And now, your host, Brock Collins.
I want to welcome you back to the show that helps you to find your freedom through real estate investing. I'm your host, Brock Collins, and today, man, I've got a special treat for you. My buddy, David Montelongo, star of A&E's Flip This House, is with us today. And David's done over 850 projects, and he's still very, very active in real estate today. So, man, David, we're all excited you're here with us today, man. So, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you, Brock, for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, glad to have you, man. And for our listeners, everyone maybe have heard your name through this or that, but man, take a minute. Help us to get to know you, David, a little bit better, and so that we can just jump right in.
Okay, so you want to get to know me. So I'm David Montelongo. I'm 38 years old. A little bit about me. I'm a family man. I've been married for 18, going on 19 years now. So I got married very, very young. I've got two amazing kids. I've got a 14-year-old son. I've got an 11-year-old daughter. Been in business for myself for about 16 years. Been in real estate investing for 13 years. And some personal interest things that I like. I'm a blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So I train martial arts. Actually, that's been a big, big part of my success, my self-discipline that I've developed over the last 5 years that transfers over into my business. So I love that. I do it with something I do with my kids. And so in a nutshell, that's, like you said, I've done over 850 projects, all types of different projects. I've been involved in everything from wholesaling. I've been involved in tons and tons of rehab projects, multifamily repositioning. I've owned lots of rental properties through the years, and just done all different aspects of the business. And this year is really a big year for me, because what I want to do this year is share my success in the real estate investing business. I've done a little bit of this sharing through the years and taught some students and done that, but this year's really a year where it's become important to me to share not only what works, but what doesn't work in this world of real estate investing, so that people can gravitate towards the things that work and move away from things that don't work.
Wow. Okay, I love it, and you're gonna dig into that a little bit more as we go through this this morning. But Dave, everyone sees, if they see someone on TV or on the radio and they think, oh, well, they're an overnight success and a this, but take us back a minute, man. Take us back to how you got started in the business. And there's no push button. I mean, it starts at the beginning. So take us back there, how you got involved in real estate investing in the first place.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a heavy construction background. My dad started a business in my hometown of San Antonio, Texas, 40 plus years ago. It was called Montelongo Lumber Company, and we were chatting about that before the call here. And it actually never was a lumber company, but it was a residential remodeling business. And he had a lot of success with that through the years. He actually started off as a school teacher. So he was a high school football coach, and he was an algebra teacher. But I come from a big family. I've got 7 siblings. And so my dad, back when he was designing his life, figured out that he wasn't going to be able to support 8 kids on a teacher's salary. So he had to make some changes in his life. That's when he opened up the construction business and did really well with it. But something that was really important to my father was to make sure that all of us kids, learned work ethic. And so he had us out in the field doing everything from material deliveries. The boys were out in the field doing material deliveries and picking up trash, like from the time we were 13, 14 years old. And the girls would go in the office, and the girls were handling administrative work and things from the time they were 13, 14 years old. So it was really important to him for us to all learn work ethic and to learn how to be entrepreneurial and just how to go out and hustle. And that's always been something that I've been able to take with me through my life. And so, I I started off in the construction business. Like I said, I did some of the grunt work early on. Then I moved into construction management, and then I moved into project sales. Soon after that, in my early 20s, after I got married at 20, soon after that, my wife and I opened our construction business. And then a few years later, we opened up our real estate investment business and started doing fix and flip projects and things like that. I really did get that initial learning about real estate from my dad, because even though he ran the construction business, in the summers, many times he'd buy a house and he would work on that house throughout the summer, and have it ready to put on the market by the end of the summer.
Hmm.
And that was, his extra money for the winter, so that, we'd go on vacation or we could do whatever as a family. And so that was pretty neat. So I always watched that. And then when I, got into my mid 20s, I actually turned that into a business. And really that was before all of the craze, all of the attention was brought to what real estate investing is all about, and all the shows that you see on TV. I believe we were, our show was probably one of the first few, quote unquote flip shows that were out there. And I know about 5 or 6 years later, there were close to 200 flip shows that had been on and off the air. And so I like to think that we're kind of a pioneer in sharing our experiences out there with the public, and how this business works and what goes on and everything. But it was definitely not an overnight success story. It was definitely something where it took a lot of hard work, and attention and focus through the years.
Yeah. All right. And so when you're doing your construction business, the leap from construction to actually buying and investing in property, now you're on the hook for the note and the whole thing. There's a lot of fear for investors, every investor, when they first get started. Did you have that same fear of like going from, remodeling to this is my property now? Was that nervous for you?
Well, I probably would have probably been wise for me to have some of that fear, and I knew the construction part of the business well enough. And when I really started going with, really got going with investing, it was 2003, 2004, 2005, and the market was just doing, amazing at the time. And so it was like, I felt like I could do no wrong. So, I wasn't nervous then. I wasn't, I didn't feel like something bad could happen then. It wasn't really until like 2008, when the market turned, when I started to learn the real lessons about how this business works and what you have to watch out for. So, that fear or apprehension actually came about later through experiences. And that was something that I had to work past, and something that everybody has to work past to really be successful in this business.
You and I were talking earlier, and you're talking about always reinventing yourself. And there's, this reinventing in personal life, reinventing in business life. And like you say, when you jumped in at a good time in the market, and you could make a pretty house and sell it pretty easy, and then you came across, like all investors did, the market hiccup. What happened at that point for you? I mean, did you pause the business? Did you just slow down? Did you buy rentals instead? How did you approach the downtime?
Yeah. So what happened, I actually, so I built my rehab business up really big. I had, at any given time, I had 30 plus rehabs going. And I mean, just running at a fever pace. I mean, I was in my late 20s, early 30s, and it was just, running and gunning, and things were going really good. And in 2008, the banks, the lending kind of dried up, and banks were not lending to buyers. And so I actually had a lot of properties that I was holding. And so a lot of those properties had to turn into rental properties.
Yeah.
And then I, just when things really, really came to a screeching halt, I actually lost a few properties along the way. And that was a huge, because I had never had any major challenges like that. That was a huge, eye opener. That was a huge awakening about, being smart in this business and being strategic, rather than just going nuts and thinking that things are never going to change, but really staying ahead of what's going on, keeping your ear to the ground and paying attention. And so that's what I've learned as, being a seasoned investor, is to, be aggressive, go out there and make it happen, and pay attention to what's going on in the market, so that you can be proactive instead of reactive.
Yeah. Oh man, that's a great point. When you were doing those 30, you have like 30 projects going at a time. Some of our listeners right now are doing one house or two houses, and they're struggling. Where do I get the money to buy it, the down payment, the fix up? And you're saying it was pretty common to do 30 at a time. How was funding happening for that? Was it commercial portfolio loans, private money? What were you doing to do that many projects? A lot of projects going.
It was a combination of all of those things, and so we've used bank financing, lines of credit. We've used hard money loans. We've used private funding as gap funding, and even private funding for full acquisition and renovation.
Mm-hmm.
And there's always people out there that want to be in the game or want to be in the business, want to be attached to it, but they don't want to necessarily handle the day to day. And so because I was very good at running the day to day and running the crews and operating all the intricacies of the business, there were people that would gravitate to me for that type of getting returns on their money and those sorts of things. But even if somebody out there only has one deal going at a time or two deals going at a time, there are always people out there that want to be in the game or be close to the game, but not handle the day to day. So I feel like there's always private money available, and I think that's one of the biggest resources, especially if somebody only has a couple projects going, that they enroll some people close to them that want to put their money to work, because it's still, even though there's market conditions and things that can change, it's still one of the safest and best returns that somebody can get if they're trying to get a return on their money.
Right. Okay, cool. So over this 13 years, and it's a lot of transactions you've been a part of, there's been a lot of learning experiences for you, I'm sure, just like with every investor who does way on a smaller scale. But if you take all that together, what do you think your biggest aha moment was? Really the turning point for you, maybe in the business, maybe personal, through those learning experiences and reinventing yourself. What do you think your biggest aha moment was? Be it really just to change where you're going?
Well, I believe that my biggest aha moment, when things happen in life, and I don't want to be too cliche about this, but it really, really is true. It's not so much about the things that happen, but how you react to the things that happen that matter most. And things happen in life to everybody, no matter what phase of the journey you're in. Good things happen, challenges occur, but what happens is that forms people's ideals about themselves and how they operate and what they can do and what they're good at and their confidence level. And so when something bad happens, that's something that I had had to realize, is that when something bad happens, it can affect your confidence. And when your confidence is affected, it really works on your psyche, and it doesn't allow you to go out there and continue to progress. And so I've had to take step back at a certain time, evaluate myself and say, okay, yes, these challenging things have happened, but that doesn't define me. That's not what I'm about. I'm about moving forward. I'm about progression. I'm about making my next deal, making my next move. And so that's what I would share with people. No matter if you've done really well on deals or you've had made some mistakes along the way, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you learn from those things and continue to progress forward all the time and sharpen your tools. I did a lot of, even this last year, I didn't do real estate training this last year. I actually trained students this last year, but I did do personal development training this last year to work on, any of those negative things that may have come up in the past that start to form, ideals around who you are and what you are, and just really get those out of the way so that, I can continue to progress forward all the time. And that's what I think people have to do, is continue to progress forward and get those negative things out of the way so they can just continue to move forward.
That's huge, David, because I think, like you say, mindset really is very, very important to today and also where you're going tomorrow. And a lot of people get caught up with, if they find a challenge, in the business, if their why isn't big enough, and they come across something that might be something they can easily overcome, but it's a roadblock, right? And then so if their why isn't big enough, they pack up and say, this thing doesn't work, this business doesn't work. And what was your why? And I'm sure it's changed over the time, but you've got to have a big purpose of why you're willing to overcome those challenges, And what would you say your why is that's so big that when those hiccups come and when you got to reinvent yourself and your mindset to stay firm and fast, what do you think what is your why?
It's interesting that you bring up the why, and as I've gone through my career, and different training that I've done, people always talk about your why and knowing your why and having that in the front of your mind so that it's so important. And I always have known how important that was. But it's interesting because I was just at a party the other day, for our local RIA, our
Uh-huh.
local real estate investor association. And I was talking to one of the more seasoned investors that's been around for a long, long time, doing this, probably 5 years or so longer than I have, built up a huge portfolio and done really, really great with, just had a ton of success.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was talking to him about, things that have, that we've done well and challenges along the way and all that sort of thing. And that was his biggest thing. And my words to him, because I'm 38 years old, I think he's in his mid 50s and he's done. He feels like he's financially done. He's set. He's got
Wow.
everything he needs, and now he's on cruise control and just enjoying life. And I was telling him, I said, I feel super proud of all the things I've accomplished. I feel very, very good about all that I've accomplished, but I still feel like there's more. I feel like there's more to get out there. And so he took me back to my why. And
Hmm.
he says, well, why do you want to do this? And what do you want? Not only why is super important, and I'll tell you about my why in just a second, but what do you want? Being really clear about defining what you want. And it's different for everybody. Some people want, you know, I mean, it's just different for everybody.
Yeah.
Somebody people to be comfortable, it's $100 million. Some people to be comfortable, it's $10 million. Some people it's five. I mean,
Uh-huh.
it's whatever. But what do you want as a person? And that he was getting me to dig into what I really wanted, so that he says, like, it's like playing baseball. If you're trying to score, how can you know how to score if you don't have a clear direction on how to get to first base?
Hmm.
And so just being very clear about what it is that you want. And to go back to your question about why, my why has changed through the years, and I always am looking at my current why. Why am I doing this? And
Hmm.
right now, I would say for the last 2 years, and probably for the next, 4 or 5 years, my why is really focused on setting something up for my kids
Hmm.
and really leaving a legacy for them. I want them to have the ability. I don't want them to have to go into real estate or have to go into construction, but I want them to have the ability, the know-how to do that if they so choose.
Uh-huh.
And so, for me, it's really important that I just set an example right now of self-discipline, of being just relentless in my business, and doing things to set them up for success in the future, so that whatever they choose to do, they can look back and they can go, wow, okay, we know that even if we're not in real estate, we're learning work ethic.
Hmm.
Even if we're not doing exactly what dad did, we are learning all these valuable lessons because of what he set up for us.
Hmm.
And so for me, that's really, really important. So my kids are a huge part of my why, not only to set them up financially, but to set them up psychologically to win in life. And that for me is huge right now.
Well, the mixture of both is, man, is key, because if you just set them up financially and said, there you go, you can live your life however you want, with be irresponsible, but these lessons, and you and I were talking earlier, and you were saying how it's not uncommon for them to be on some of the job sites and kind of maybe do what you did with your dad. Is that
Super important. That's super important because, the lessons that you can learn out there. Melina and I were talking the other day, and the one thing is, I don't want to, when I do these type of interviews, or even when I share my personal information, I don't like to sugarcoat things or make things seem, easier than what they are. I mean, you see a lot of people out there with. It's funny. I was listening to a Gary Vaynerchuk video the other day, and he's saying how you'll see guys out there with pictures of cars and boats and vacations and all this stuff, but they don't talk about the grind. They don't talk about the
Mhm.
daily actions that it takes to make these things happen. So I don't want to sugarcoat that, because this business does take work.
Mhm.
But the nice thing about it is no matter what the challenges are, those challenges are so much easier than what other people face. And Melina and I were talking just the other day. Melina's my wife, and we're talking just the other day, and she says, sometimes we get, like any business, we, things come up, stressful situations come up, and you got to work through those stressful situations. But it is awesome to know that no matter what comes up, we have a set of skills where we can work through any issue that might come up.
Hmm.
We have a rule in our family that, if we want something new, like in other words, if we want to go on a vacation or we want to buy something, a piece of equipment, a computer, whatever, we don't tap into what we've already made for something new that we want. So if we want to go on vacation, we go, okay, we want to go on vacation. Let's do a deal let's do a new deal and bring in new money so that we can go on that vacation.
Oh man.
Or okay, we want, right now my he's a freshman in high school and he wants a MacBook Pro, which, we're going to get him for Christmas. And so, or MacBook Air, whatever the hottest tool is. And rather than tapping into something that we've already done or already made to go and do that, it's like, okay, what are we going to do together to go and create new opportunity, new money so that we can go get what we want? And so that's something that we've instituted in our family. And we know that no matter if it's something we want or some challenge that we face, if there's something that we need to do, we can go out and we can create a deal, we can create an opportunity, we can make something happen so that we can get what we want in any situation. And that to me is, how do you put a value on that?
Yeah.
I love that feeling.
Man, that's great. And I'll say this myself included, one of the first, about 15 years ago, one of the first flips I did, a gentleman gave me some private money and I made about $38,000 on my first fix and flip. It was more money than I'd ever seen in my life at that time. It was big. And so like 3 or 4 months later, I see this guy out at a local restaurant and I said, hey, he said, how things going? I said, they're great. And I said, about, last year I did $38,000 on that deal. And he looked at me just sideways and he said, that was last year. What are you doing today? And so I think for our listeners, if you're doing a deal and you've made some money and it's great, that's past. And like David was saying, is don't spend it. Don't use that as living today money. Go out and get that next deal. And for whether you're buying for cash flow or fix and flip, to set yourself up, the business really is powerful if you treat it as a real business. And I really like that household rule. So that's cool. Let's go into fixing or strategies that you're using today. I know you've used probably all of them with wholesaling, fix and flip, cash flow properties. David, what are you using in today's market? What are you focusing on going forward into 2016 here?
Okay, so in 2016, it's really important for me to begin to build my portfolio again. So I've built up a portfolio in the past of single family houses, but I know that that's not what I want moving forward in the future. I really want to own much more multifamily and start to create what real estate, in my mind, what real estate is all about. I really think that real estate is a progression. Mm-hmm. A lot of people, when they're getting in, they'll wholesale a deal to make some quick cash. Mm-hmm. And it is great. I did a wholesale deal this last year, made $40,000 on a wholesale deal.
Nice.
It's awesome. It's amazing, right? But it's one and done. Once you do that, it's that money doesn't come about again.
Yeah.
And so then, the next set in the progression is to do some rehabs or some fix and flip, deals. And so people start to do that and you make good money. I have a rule in my business that we don't do a fix and flip deal if we can't make $80,000 or more. Mm-hmm. And so we focus on bigger projects where we can make larger profits on the back end. Mm-hmm. And so still, it doesn't matter if you do a ton of those deals in a year, that money comes one time and then it's gone.
It's done, yeah.
And so, what's really important to me in 2016 is to begin to build that mailbox money, that residual income, build a portfolio. And so this year we'll be collecting between 50 and 100 doors. And we don't want to do that one at a time. We want to do that with 4plexes, 8plexes on up. And so that really is our intention and our goal for 2016 is to begin to build that residual income through owning property, cash flow property for a longer term investment. So that's where we're moving forward.
Okay. And so because of your construction background, is that something you can just do a tear down and build right there or find vacant land? Or by doing analyzing the deals, does it make more sense to buy, already setting buildings, clean them up, fix them up, and then keep them? Which is better in your mind, you think?
Well, I'll give you an example. Like right now, we're evaluating a deal. We've got a property under contract. It's a large old house. But it's set up to where it could be 4 units, and then it's got a unit in the back, so it could have 5 units.
Hmm.
In the past, and this is like in a historic area, older part of San Antonio. So what I would have done in the past is I would have seen if I could wholesale it so that I could make some quick money like that.
Mm-hmm.
B, I would have sought out some private funds so that I could renovate it, and I would turn it from some multifamily opportunity into a single family,
Mm-hmm.
so I could get max profit now. So when I sell it, this property, it's something I'm into it for 320 and probably $200,000 in renovation costs. So if, let's say 500 into it or so, five to 550, but this property could sell for $800,000 or $900,000 on the back end. So,
Mm-hmm.
A large set of profit. So in the past, what I would have done is I would have turned that property from a multifamily opportunity into a single family opportunity for max value now.
Right.
My shift this year is not doing that. So going through renovating it, getting it up to speed, and then turning it into a 5-unit complex where we can receive the cash flow for the rest of our lives. And so that for me is a shift in my business. It's a different way to look at things.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why I like it is because even if it's smaller increments of money, it's smaller increments of money for the rest of our life.
That's right. Never goes away, right?
Or as long as we hold that property. So it's just a shift in the way that I evaluate things and the way that I look at things. But now, as I'm getting older, but 38 moving into my 40s, it's like, okay, I may not want to go out and wrestle with contractors every day for the rest of my life. It might be a good idea for me to start to set up some long-term residual income now. And so that's really my focus this coming year.
I like that. And the cool thing about that is you acquire some 5-unit buildings and you get 50 or 100 doors doing that this year. At some point, you might come across a bigger deal and you could 1031 those into that, and it still is maybe easier to manage down the line and that kind of thing. But worst case, you keep that and it's like a money machine as long as you keep it and take care of it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
one of the reasons I really love that strategy, I think a lot of people, I think a lot of people mention that as one of the slowest ways. It's not the sexiest ways to wealth, but that's really the way to wealth and freedom. And my mentor, when I was getting started, he bought 20 single family homes, got them paid off, and he let me kind of take these things over. This was about 15 years ago, and he was renting these single-family homes for $325 a month. Today, those very same homes, he rents for almost $1,000 a month. Nothing's changed other than the numbers went up, and he got to write it up, and it really allowed him to retire rich, like your buddy in his 50s. And everyone's value point is different. You might need $100,000 a year in cash flow, $1 million, whatever. But I like where you're going with that model, and
right.
So. If our listeners are listening right now and they're watching this and they're saying, Dave, there's 101 ways to find deals online. I can go to YouTube, find 101 ways to do deals or find them. Tell us, man, what are some of the best strategies that you use or that you would share of how to get to deals that just make sense, that are worth that the numbers work?
Okay. So, there's all kinds of different strategies, like you're saying, that have been taught. That people use that work. People do everything from direct mail, bandit signs. I mean, all the traditional stuff that you see happen out there. But the one thing that I believe that is the absolute best way to get a deal done is just to be in the game. When you're in the game, deals find you. So when you're trying to get in the game, you're out there hustling to go find deals. But when you're in the game, deals find you. So I mentioned to you a little while ago that I wholesaled a deal and made $40,000 on it, right? Which is like in my opinion, a home run as far as wholesale deals go.
Yeah.
That's a killer fee.
Yeah.
I got that deal not because I put out letters or bandit signs, but because I was doing a rehab project right across the street. And because I'm there in the neighborhood and in the game and working, then what happens is, then the neighbor comes over and says, hey, what's going on here? I'm thinking about selling my house. And it's like, well, great. This is what we do. You walk them through the project, show them, because people, especially if in these older areas that we work, people are really interested to know that if you're going to take on their project or their property, that you're going to do something good with it. It's not just it's not something that's going to just fall into idle hands. And
Right.
so, I'll take them through, show them what we do, show them how nice we do our projects and all that. And it gets people excited. Okay, this project or this house that's been in their family for a long time now is going to get a facelift. It's going to, be something great again.
Hmm.
And so just being out there, being in the game allows me to do more deals. And that's what I would say for somebody who is really trying to make their break into any marketplace is just be in the game. In other words, if you can get a deal under contract, and if you're going to wholesale it, you're putting yourself in the game. If you're going to do a rehab and you get some private money and you're out there, you're putting yourself in the game.
Hmm.
And the more you do that, the more people will find you. If you've got a rehab out there and it's going successfully, what can that possibly bring you? Well, it can possibly bring you more deals. It could bring you private money because people want to know what you're doing.
Hmm.
And if you let people know that you're out there and you're doing something in the marketplace, you let somebody know that you're renovating a house or you're rehabbing a house, when people want to know, people want to make money in different ways as well. So that it brings private money opportunities. It brings, more seller leads. So that's my biggest, I would say, tip for people is just get in the game more so than, obviously you might do letters and you might do bandit signs and you might do, ads and different things like that. But just being in the game gives you so much opportunity.
Okay. Dave, do you still go to your local RIA occasionally?
I do. In fact, I had taken several years off and I hadn't been in several years. And so I just at the end of this year really started getting active again. And it is important to me to be active, especially this coming 2016 in my local RIA for a few different reasons. One, community is huge.
Hmm.
Having a community of people around you that are have similar goals and similar things that they want to accomplish is
Hmm.
is priceless. And so that's really important to me. And the other thing that's important to me is since I've been doing this for some time now, and I know about things that work and things that don't work. I feel like it's really important for me to share that with other people, and so it gives me an opportunity to just give input and to add value to my community. So
Hmm.
yes, I am involved in my local RIA.
Nice. Okay. Let's take a minute. Our listeners love to hear about deals. You've kind of shared some already, and I don't know. I mean, you've got so many, you probably don't know where to pull from. But talk to us about maybe the best deal you ever did. Could have been the process, could have been the dollars, just from start to finish. Tell us about it from start to finish.
Okay, I would say my most fun and exciting deal was a deal that I did in an area of town called Alamo Heights. And Alamo Heights has got one of the best school districts in the nation. It's like one of the top 10 high schools in the nation for public schools. And so it's a very desirable place to live. And this deal that I got was a deal that we did a whole combination of strategies on this one deal. So bought the property for about $200,000, I believe 220. There was existing financing in place, so we actually did a sub two
Hmm.
deal. So we didn't have to go out and acquire, new financing to acquire the property.
Hmm.
And so we left financing in place during the construction. So we did a sub two. So it was a combination of things. That was nice right from the start because we didn't have to go get hard money or anything like that. We
Hmm.
used the existing loan. We used private money to help fund the renovation because it was a pretty large renovation, about $130,000 renovation project. So we used that tool, that strategy.
Hmm.
We did a value add because the house was very small. It was only about a 1,200 square foot house. And in order to get max value, we needed to add square footage. So we added a master bedroom, master suite basically onto the project.
Hmm.
So we did a value add. Added a utility room, master suite, master closet, really nice master bath. So we did that portion of it, and then we sold the property. And when we sold it, we estimated to be able to sell the property on the back end for about 425, and we did a really really nice job on it. And so when we put it on the market, we said, well, let's test and let's see how much we can push the market.
Hmm.
And so we listed the property at $100,000 higher than what we anticipated selling. So we listed it for 525.
Okay.
19 days later, we had a contract at 495.
Oh my
So
goodness.
still able to get significantly more than what we originally anticipated getting for the property for the
Yeah.
project. And we were able to use all these different tools. So sub to private money, value add, and got, more for the property than what we anticipated up front. So I would say that was probably one of my most exciting and fun type projects.
Let me ask you this: when you push the market, and we do the same thing just to see where the appetite is, and especially when you do a great job like you do, how long do you leave it at the taller price before you say, all right? Because you can always come down. Do you
Sure.
give it a month, 2 month, and then incrementally bring it down, or what have you found that works is a good method for you?
Well, I really don't want projects sitting out there for a long time.
Uh-huh.
I am. If I make a mistake, probably my biggest mistake is being too proud of my projects. Because I think we do a really nice job,
Uh-huh.
and so I always try to get 15 or so percent more than what the market says we can get.
Uh-huh.
And typically that works out in my favor. In the last 3 years, that's only not worked out in my favor twice.
Okay.
And but I usually won't let that go for longer than 30 days. So
Okay.
within a 30-day window, if we're not getting the action that we should be getting, and it doesn't even have to be offers, it could be showings.
Yeah.
Our marketplace is very active, and so if you've got a property on the market and it's just not getting showings, it's price related.
Mm-hmm.
And so I won't leave that out there forever and ever. I might be proud of my projects, but I'm not so proud that I'm not willing to bring it to a price where it'll move that property. And
Yeah.
so, I'm really looking at a 30-day window. And if it's not moving or we're not getting the action, the showings around it, then we'll go ahead and lower that, fairly quickly.
Yeah. Okay. And so, you've gone through different steps in life and business, and your freedom probably, and your why and your freedom has changed over time. Fast forward to today and going into this next year, tell us how you're going to use real estate investing now that you go in a different direction here to find your freedom going forward.
Yeah, the freedom part of real estate, and it probably, when I'm expressing this to you, it sounds like I'm a really busy guy, and it sounds like I've got a ton of things going on, and I do. To me, the freedom is the mental freedom. The freedom is knowing that no matter what comes up or what situation arises, that I either have an answer or have the ability to figure out the answer, and to really set myself up to win no matter what happens. So there's a ton of freedom in that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but now above and beyond that, you actually want, the goal of this game is to create real freedom for yourself, where you could walk away and take some time off and not have to go to work every day, and things run and things operate and money still comes in.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's really the shift for me this coming year, is to begin to collect and build on the portfolio that we have, so that eventually, and the nice thing about this is it's not most people get on a plan for, retirement, and it's a 25-year plan. For one, I don't ever see myself retiring.
Yeah.
I love what I do. I
Mm-hmm.
love this business, and it's, I think I'll always be in real estate in some form of this business. But you do want the ability, you want the feeling of being able to take time off or to walk away, and things still operate, money still comes in. And so that's really the shift for me this coming year, is to build upon my portfolio, collect more property, so that, I have the ability, the feeling, if I want to walk away, take time off. My son's a freshman in high school now, but between now and the time he's, a senior in high school and starts going off to college, I want us to be able to really spend some time together and really be able to do what's important in life. And what's important, the money and the business and all those things are wonderful, and they are great, and it
Uh-huh.
gives you something to work for and strive for, and gives you purpose. But really, back to what you said, why do we do this? My reason for doing this is to create opportunities for us to spend time with our kids and with our family and develop our relationship, so that, it's not like, okay, they're going to college and now they're off in their own life. I mean, that's just really, that's just another step in life. It's another phase, and gives us the ability to grow closer together, and to really have a long-term family relationship, and support each other through the years and whatever might come up,
Mm-hmm.
in life and business and all of that. So it's really that to me, the freedom that you talk about, which I love, because it's such an awesome message, and it's what people want. I think that's why a lot of people do this. To me, that freedom is mentally
Hmm.
and emotionally, not feeling like you're in a rat race or feeling like you've got to go out and work for somebody else or build somebody else's vision or dream. I mean, every day you get to build your own vision, work on your own family dreams and accomplishments, and that to me is just huge.
Absolutely, man. And some of our listeners, maybe a good portion of our listeners, are stuck in the rat race right now. And the freedom that we talk about, they really desire. And so I want to talk about you. You've got some cool things coming up about your experiences in 850 projects or plus you've been party to and involved in. And so coming into this next year, tell us you've got something cool coming up, and I want you to take a minute and just share what it is and how our listeners can be a part of that.
Absolutely. So, and thanks for letting me share this. So, this coming year, so through the years of as I've gone through this business, like after we did the show and everything, there were times where I've developed a product in the past and sold the product and made some money from real estate training and things like that. But it was never really like my desire to just share my information. It's kind of like, well, let's do this, make a little bit of money. I think as I'm getting older, it's becoming a bigger desire of mine to share my success with other people. And to me, it's really important to share both what works and what doesn't work in this business, because I think there are as big of lessons to learn from what doesn't work as there is to learn about what does work.
Right. Yeah.
And so that's what I can say is the biggest benefit of me doing 850 deals is I've got so many case studies and so much information about what works and what doesn't work and things that I've tried that were successful and things that I've tried that weren't successful. And to me, if people pay attention to that stuff, then really it's like they can not go out and make the same mistakes that an experienced person has made. They can go out and make some of their own mistakes, and to me, that's you can't put a value on that. So it's really important to me now to share my information about what works in this business and what doesn't work. And so we're building out my personal website right now and offering a webinar training series and a series of case studies. We'll be doing an intro webinar, which will have a ton of value. It'll be completely free, where people can come and get information about the business. And then we'll be doing a series of 6 case studies around deals that we've done, where people can just learn and everything from wholesaling to rehabbing to private money to all these things that are really important to make this business work. We'll be sharing all of that with these folks. And so if people are interested in that and want to hear that from our perspective, they can find us at just my name, davidmontelongo.com. And if they go to davidmontelongo.com, there's a spot there. They can sign up to be in our private Facebook group. That's a place where we share information, free information, just to get people involved. I mean, so many times people go out and buy books and tapes and seminars and all of these different things, and what I find is that people spend a lot of money on these things and sometimes don't use them, and so really or don't move forward with them. And so for me, it's important to, what I think is that people, I probably won't attract the brand new investor, and I might not attract the super experienced investor. I think the investor that I would attract is somebody who's done some deals but wants to take their business to the next level. And so I want to give lots of information out there so that people can go, okay, so something can click with somebody going, okay, I see how he went from here to here, and that makes them want to move forward and get more serious about their business, really get into things. So we'll be sharing a lot of our information on davidmontelongo.com, also in our private Facebook groups that you can sign up for. They're on davidmontelongo.com, and we'll put that information out there. And then, from there, if that's got value to folks, then we can move on and we can do additional trainings and things together from there. So that's what we're up to this year.
Okay, so then go to davidmontelongo.com and just get on the email, and also that'll be launched, and so the free training series will come up, and then if they want more help, they can reach out from there.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah. Take them through the steps from there, and hopefully, like I said, hopefully the idea is really to spark something in somebody where it goes, okay, this makes sense now, or something was said that can make a difference for somebody. So that's what we're up to.
Sounds good. Man, David, thanks so much for being on the show, sharing your journey, man. I really just appreciate you taking time out to be our featured guest today. And so for our listeners, take what David has said and his house rules. I mean, those are important, and I love them. I hope you found value on that. And be sure to go to davidmontelongo.com. David, thanks again, man. I appreciate it. Have a great one.
Absolutely, Brock. You do the same.
Thanks for listening to the Freedom Real Estate Investing Podcast at freedomrealestateinvesting.com. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and give the show a 5-star rating on iTunes today.
This podcast is provided for general information and should not be considered investment, legal, tax, business, or any other professional advice. Any earnings or future earnings are not typical results. You agree that you are hereby fully responsible for the use of this content and hold the presenter, publisher, and company harmless for any and all claims.